2, 3. We are live, we are live, we are live. I wonder how many people have actually turned on these videos and turned off within 3 seconds and said, no, not watching her. And who's he in the corner? And what's this paper? Hello, lovely YouTubers. Oh, do you know what I'm going to do, Gary? I'm just going to press record, just in case something goes horribly wrong. And then I can load it afterwards on YouTube. But we are live to YouTube, to the world, to our millions of subscribers. Well, we haven't got millions of subscribers yet, Gary, but we will. We'll take over the world soon. Anyway, hello, lovely YouTuber. I'm Rachel. This is lovely Gary down there. Let's have a little wave. Hello, lovely Gary. Have you got your cuppa?
I have. I've got a cup of tea. I've deserved this cup of tea today. I've been working hard all day. And this is a chance to have a sit down and a cup of tea and a catch up, really, with everybody. So
exactly. And today we're going to be doing some mindfulness, which is very nice indeed.
Yeah.
And if you haven't watched our channel before, well, if you have a look at our channel, the great thing about it is that we do all sorts of stuff, because we've got sewing on here. We have got projects, we've got quilting, we've got maybe a little bit of dressmaking. We have then got mindfulness, and we've got our YouTube live every Friday. We try and go live with Gary and myself. And Gary is the teacher, I am the pupil, and hopefully you are the pupil as well. And we're the pupils of life, because we always start with a bit of mindfulness and then we do an exercise. And today it's not sewing. If you want to have a look in our playlist, you will find some sewing things. But in our tea time tutorial today, you can see our papers, and we are going to be doing a little doodling together. Now, if you are here, we would love to hear from you. Just leave a little comment in the chat, and we would love to have any chat from you and say hi, and you can doodle along with us. The idea is that basically on a Friday afternoon, you know, when there are some videos, Gary, on YouTube where people go to learn things like how to sort out Windows 10 or something like that. This, I think, our little YouTube thing we've got going on, yes, you learn, like I've been learning about my sewing, but I think it is a chance to sit down, to stop for 20 minutes and just for 20 minutes, because, you know, it's just so important. Like you said, you've had a busy day. I've had a really busy day, and it's just sometimes you just need to stop, because the brain goes a little bit crazy. Yeah,
absolutely. It's so easy to, you know, you've been a busy day, and then, you know, you've got stuff to do when you get in, or you finish this bit of busyness, and then you got then you set, it's crazy, you set yourself up for another bit of business, and it's like, no, just have that tea break, go and have a break, put your feet up, or have a chat with someone, give someone a call, discuss something, and then you can go back and do something in a minute. But yeah, it's about taking a break.
Well, so lovely YouTuber, if you are watching right now, stick with us for the next few minutes. If you're watching this on the repeat, if it's not live, I will put some timestamps below, and you can now click straight into the exercise if you would like, if you're not watching live, which will be in about 3 or 4 minutes. Because some people are not interested in mindfulness, but we always start with a little quote just to kind of, you know, get us in the mood, get us thinking for the day. And so I've got one here. I'm going to read it because it's not the shortest of quotes. So here we go. And yes, we are live and people are watching. So hello, people. So our little quote, we'll just discuss this for the next 2 or 3 minutes, Gary.
Okay.
And I just read this. I thought it was really nice. This is from I can't see the name of the, Lorraine Nylon, Nylon. She is an author, and she's done a book about learning about yourself. But she said here, serenity, peace, is not the conclusion of a soul journey. It is the acceptance of being on a soul journey. Oh, we're going deep today, baby. We're going deep.
Diving in deep with that.
We're diving in deep.
Now, can you relate to that? Can you find examples of that? I think what that is trying to say is that you are sort of like happy with your lot in life, or you accept your lot in life it's about acceptance, isn't it? And then you find the peace. When you're always thinking, oh, you know, I should have had this, and I missed out on that opportunity, or, you know, I didn't have those opportunities when I was younger, or anything. And then if you're always going back to that, you're never going to be happy with what you've got now, really, are you? So, you know, it's about being happy with what you've got at this moment or what you're working with. Now, that doesn't mean that what you've got at this moment is making you absolutely happy, but I think it's a belief that you're working towards more your serenity. So if you're not happy at the moment and you don't feel very serene, just remember that you're going in that direction, that you know, you got to think positively rather than it's never going to be put right. And that thing that happened to me when I was like a young boy, that's still going to be with me, and it's going to be with me until, you know, until the day I die. But you got to just let that be. You know, you just got to let that happen then. Not, it's not happening now, and it's not going to happen in the future. You know, the only thing you can really rely on is now, this moment, and then it's past, and now we're in this moment, and now it's past. So, you know, it's just about now, and about, you know, maybe you do have hopes of future, but don't worry too much about the future. It will happen, but just happy with what's now. Happy to have a cup of tea, have a chat with a friend, and then, you know, and then move on.
Yes. But I think also as well, you know, she talks there about, you know, it's not the conclusion of the soul journey, it's about being on the soul journey. And as you say, when we are on our journey through life, we will experience difficulties. But you have, exactly what you said, you have to come to peace with it. You have to be happy with what you have. I mean, they always say, don't they, if you've got to try and manifest things, and this is whatever you believe in, but, you know, you always have to do it from a mindset of that I have what I need. I would like this, but I'm happy with what I have. And then, you know, good things come to you, etc. That's a whole other thing to talk about. But I do think as well that it's really important. I was reading the other day, and we will finish now in a few seconds, but I was reading the other day about doing the work for yourself and on your, as you were saying there about if things have happened to you, they call it childhood wounding, don't they? And the way that when we go through our lives and we pick up these wounds, these emotional wounds where someone has hurt us, or emotionally, physically, or whatever, we've experienced bad things, and then you can start reacting to the world to protect yourself from that again. But then quite often unless you heal those wounds, you end up in karmic patterns where you keep repeating the same behavior with different people. But you'll find the same people different people keep coming to your life to give you the same lesson, and every time it will get worse and it will get bigger until you learn it. The universe will keep saying, you're not learning, you're not learning. And then eventually something will just go boom, and you will eventually learn that lesson, hopefully, if you do the work. And I think that is your soul journey.
Yeah.
It's about learning, healing, going through life, changing, but definitely doing the work, but accepting that peace as you do that work. Yes. There you go. That's our mindfulness for the day.
We went deep there, Rachel.
We could have gone a lot deeper. And if we recorded Gary and I's conversations, we do go a lot deeper, don't we, Gary?
Yeah,
we do. People are here to do a bit of scribbling. So let's not take it too deep. We don't want to lose the audience that we have.
Okay.
Right, so, viewers.
Okay, Rachel.
Begin, Gary, begin.
So, doodling. I mean, I had a group here today. We were doing a workshop here in my studio, and I just we discussed this doodling. You know what we're going to do, and we came to the conclusion that we sort of almost, maybe in our modern society, have lost the art of doodling. And I think it is an art. I think it's something that we used to do quite naturally. And we sort of discussed, when did we doodle? We doodled when we were at school in class. And if it was sort of like our mind needed to wander, or the teacher was giving us something to learn, and we'd be at the back and we'd be doodling in our jotters or on the corner of a page. We used to always, and I don't think people have this now, because they definitely don't sit down to the telephone. Do you remember when we used to have a telephone? It would either be at the bottom of the stairs.
Yes.
It had a dedicated, its own little table. So you had
a pad to write things.
That's what we said. There was a pad by the phone. Yeah. And quite often we'd be in a conversation with that, and we'd be doodling in that pad. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't mean that the conversation's got bored, but we're listening. And it's just a way of sort of like getting our brain to just sort of get into the zone, just thinking. So we're just doodling as someone chatting to us as well. And so that was a couple, and also, you know, going to meetings. I used to work with someone that was, I've worked with creative people, And he would I'd watch his doodles. He was sat next to me in a meeting, and he was a fashion designer also, but he'd just be designing. It would just be like a mannequin shape, and he'd just be drawing different clothes, different things. I don't even think he was particularly thinking about the design. And I think that's important with a doodle. You don't want to overthink it. You don't want to get stressed by it, but it's just something that just relaxes the mind and just frees you up. So I used to watch him, and I don't think any of these designs ever came consciously to be made, but he would just always, just in the corner of the page, always do these little designs. So fascinating. So what I wanted to do.
Do you think there's anything in the subconscious as well, Gary? Because I think it's interesting. I remember doing those little doodles when I would be on the phone to people. And I think after sometimes I would look and go, you know, I might have even done a grumpy face if I was having a grumpy conversation or something. So I do wonder if there's something in it. You know, you're actually subconsciously doodling what's in the back of your brain.
There is. I think they've looked into, you know, if you always doodle a certain shape or something like that, it might mean something that's happening. And I'm sure there is some information out there. Funnily enough, today's conversation was, and I said I'm going to pick like 9 ideas for doodles. Now, today we don't have to do all 9. I'm just going to give you 9 ideas. I'm going to get you, Rachel, probably to do 3 of them. I'm going to get you to pick 3 that you want to do, and then I'll show you the examples of the others. And it's something easy you can do at home or before you go to a meeting, or just purposefully do it, just to try it out and get back into the habit of doodling. But one thing someone said to me, he goes, I always draw arrows. What does that mean, Gary? I don't know. What does arrows mean? And so they said, right, you can, the 9 ideas that you come up with today, which I've come up for you, is not to be an arrow. So arrows are banned because arrows seems to be quite keen. A lot of people were drawing arrows. I don't know why.
Okay. I tell you what I used to draw a lot of. I tell you what my doodle would be when I was a young girl. Well, only a few weeks ago, clearly. But when I was a young teenager, it was this one. It was that standard love heart, arrow.
Oh, yeah.
And that's how I do my arrows. And then I put the initials, of course. Yeah.
Oh.
That was my little standard. And I look at that. It's beautiful.
Would that be your initials in there, or would it be the initials of the boy that you fancied?
Oh, it would be me and the boy. So, you know, and Jay. Now people are going, who's Jay? He's my husband, Jake. Although his real name is Stuart.
Thank God you put a J.
His real name's Stuart, so I should put JS in there. Although now, after my experience last week, I should change it, and I don't think he minds if I put CM. Oh, Rachel and CM. Who's CM, Gary?
I don't. Who is CM? CM. Someone you met at the quilt festival?
No, not at the festival. No, but I did. Our eyes definitely met in the crowd of 50,000 people. I know.
You went to see that concert, didn't you?
Coldplay, Chris Martin, me and Chris Martin. I know our eyes met. Even though I was 6.5 miles away in the Wembley Stadium, I know that our eyes met. They did. Me and
Chris Martin from
Coldplay.
In case people don't.
He's the lead singer of Coldplay. And he's actually in Brazil around my birthday. I'm thinking about DMing him on Instagram and saying, come on, get me on the Leah. I'll fly over. I think it might happen. And my husband doesn't mind. He said, that's all right. I'll forgive you, Cole. I'll forgive you, Chris Martin.
Exactly. So is it that similar? Is this a similar type of crush you had now, which you had for the tennis player before?
Goran Ivanisevic. I have many crushes. Yes. Yeah. I've seen Chris Martin in a whole new light now. It was the way he was jumping up and down with his tight jogging bottoms on. Shall we move on to this subject?
We're now moving on at this point. Right. So what I want really is a good idea is a little grid of 9 circles. So I've got something to draw around to do my 9 circles, because I think if we draw a circle and you contain your doodle in the circle, it just makes it doable. If I just give you a plain piece of paper and say, right, do a doodle in the middle of that paper, the paper could go any, you know, it's vast. So it seems like it's feasible. So always, if you're going to do, say, I've got 9 titles. So you can just, if you could do 9, so I do 1 in the middle, 1 above. So I'm just using a lid to draw this circle.
Yeah, and I've just picked up something from my teenage daughter's room. I don't even know what it is.
It's something to draw around. So it's, you know, roughly about 2 inches in diameter. It can be, I wouldn't do any bigger really, because it wouldn't all fit on the page, but it doesn't matter. But I just sort of set it as about 2 inches in diameter. And I'm using a biro. because I think once you've made a mark, you should keep a mark. I think the trouble is with a pencil, the temptation is to then rub it out. It's like you judge yourself, you judge your marks, and you just say, oh, it's not, I'm not good enough. It's not good enough. I'll rub it out and try again. Well, life's not like that. You know, once you've done the thing, you've done it. You know, you've made that decision to do it.
That's like going back to our mindfulness chat at the beginning of our soul's journey. We all make mistakes. We all do.
Yes.
You just have to live with it, learn from it.
And, you know, sometimes what I tell my students is sometimes the best ideas come from mistakes. So if you were to do it and it's got to be absolutely correct and right, and that's the right way to do it, well, nothing new is ever going to come along.
No,
when you make a mistake, sometimes those mistakes actually improvement from the original idea. So that's what I think is up. So you've got about 9. Yep. I see you've gone for a very random pattern where I'm very grid-like, but it does not matter. It does not matter. Right, so I'm going to give you some titles. And so by the side or underneath each circle, there's going to be a title. And this is just a prompt for anyone that wants to have a go at this. And you can then look at them all and you can choose 3 to do, because we've only got a limited time here. So this first one is Scribble and Pattern. So Scribble and Pattern. Okay, so they're just like little titles, little prompts. Then the next one is Waves and Stones.
Oh, waves.
Oh, yes. I thought that might get you going. Yeah. Right. Hearts, funnily enough.
Yeah,
Hearts,
with me and Chris Martin. Yeah.
You're not allowed to choose that one. Flowers.
Oh, he's into his flowers as well, Chris Martin.
Is he? So flowers, leaves, lines.
Is flowers separate to leaves?
Yes. Spirals.
We've all spiraled. Yeah.
Yeah. Squares and checks.
I've done 2 R's. I didn't mean that. Squares and checks.
Squares and checks. And then circles and dots. So these are prompts and can be interpreted any way you want, but I'll do my interpretation. You can follow me and do exactly the same, or you can do your version of what you think that should be, but you're containing it within that circle. Okay, so Rachel, what would be the first one that you would like to choose? What type?
Let's go with waves and stones. I think.
Yes. Now, because you know I live by the coast.
Yes.
What fascinates me is we've got on the beach is part sandy, part pebbles. So the pebbles go up on a ridge, they get washed up and they go on a ridge, and then as the tide goes out, then it exposes the sand. But there's groins. You know, the groins, which are like posts that go down to the sea to stop the beach shifting around. It just stops the beach shifting. Now, between these groins get trapped all these stones, and it fascinates me because they all build up between these posts. And I just think nature's got a lovely way of stacking things. So this one with waves and stones was inspired by that, just the way these stones all sort of pile in. So in your circle for waves and stones, just do a wavy line, 1 wavy line, 2 wavy lines. You could even do a 3rd wavy line if you want to. So I've just done a few wavy lines through. That's it. Nice big waves. That's it.
Yeah.
And then that one. Okay. So the idea is you imagine your pebbles and your stones getting washed and tumbled up, and they're going to get trapped between the wavy lines. So a pebble is a sort of an off-rounded shape. It's not a square pebble. It's a rounded shape. So you can put rounded shapes, but when you're putting these, and they can be varying sizes, and they're roughly round, but they're not allowed to cross over from each other. They can touch the edges of the line, but they're not allowed to cross over. So you can see each one individually. They can be all shapes until you get to the end within that where it's contained. That's it. So you've got a series of pebbles. Now, in between these pebbles are little stones. So you can fill in the little gaps with tiny, tiny stones. So that's like more like the shingle that gets stuck in between them. So then you can then fill them in between. And you can fill in more stones, different sizes, and see how many circles or stone-like shapes you can get caught in between. So you can get loads of different ones. And that, when you look at these groins, that's how the stones, they all get in there. So there's not even really any gaps between. There's the bigger pebbles and then the smaller pebbles like so. I'm going to put some pebbles down here, like that.
Oh, I see it now. You see, it's interesting. This is where I think the artist, really comes out, because I mean, mine is very random, whereas yours already is looking like what are they called? Begins with an M, isn't it? Oh, you know what I mean.
An M,
Oh, those mandalas.
Oh, mandala, yeah, maybe.
But,
So these are
yours has already kind of got that uniformed kind of artistic look, whereas mine is just looking a little bit shabby.
But now we're starting to be self-critical about oneself, aren't we? So we shouldn't. So you're doing your version of waves and stones, and I've done my version of waves and stones, remembering that I do live by the coast, so I see how naturally they're formed. You're just doing your interpretation of them. Now, you could look at mine and then do another one and say, oh, I'm going to do like what Gary's done, but that wouldn't be the same. Let's have a little close-up of, yeah, I can see that. So just look, so you've got your pebbles, and remember, pebbles, you can have bigger pebbles, small pebbles, and then in between, you could just, if there's any little bit of white paper showing, you can just fill it in with your pen, because that would be the sand. So the sand is then filling in between, and you could have hours just filling in your pebbles and your stones between the waves in the circle. So that takes up a lot of time, like so.
You see, but, isn't it interesting though, Gary? Because I mean, obviously we're doing this as a live broadcast, so we're talking, but if I was on my own now and doing this, I can already feel I am starting to calm down from my stressful day. And, it doesn't matter how different yours and mine is. We've both just literally sat down and done some circles and pebbles, but already my mind is now going off to the beach. I'm already halfway there. Isn't it? It's interesting though, isn't it?
Yes, it is. It is. It's just like de-stressing, refocusing on something, rather than all those random thoughts going around in your head of what you have been doing. Did I do that right? Did I do that wrong, or whatever? Or what you've now got to go on to. So if you've had a busy day, but then there's still stuff to do for the rest of the day, you need that break. You need to have a break. And, it could be something. This could be something that you just phone a friend, say, right, I've got a series of time. Let's do it together over WhatsApp, or let's do it on FaceTime or something like that. And where you could both put your phones down, and you could we can both see each other doing them afterwards, or show each other what you've done, give the title, do it in a circle, and then say, that's what I did. And then you could show yours and what you've done. So, that's really that's what's nice about it. Okay. Lovely. So that's done pretty well. What other title would you like, Rachel?
Oh, hang on. I'm still doing my, sorry, this might have gone for another 4 hours on YouTube. Right. Okay. Lovely. Loving it. Okay. So, well, do you know what? I've got to go with hearts, haven't I? I've got to go with hearts.
Okay. So again, the same principle. Think about your tumbling stones and those, but this time they are heart-shaped. So you've got your heart. So what you could do is start with just a nice big heart in the middle, but not all hearts have to face the same way. So you can turn your paper and then you can do another heart, but it doesn't have to be the same size. It doesn't have to be perfect. And you're going to fill up that whole circle with just a series of hearts. But remember, you can do little mini hearts in between. So you can do, when you've filled it up, I've got no more space. You've still got space to do loads more hearts, and try and get them so that the actual heart finishes at the edge of the circle, or maybe the beginning of the heart, which I don't know if they're a beginning and the end, but I always think the bump bit, the double bump, is almost like the beginning, then it goes down into that V. So again, you get
I do think there's a look of a bottom in a heart. I have to say.
There is a look of a bottom. So you're going to fill up with loads of hearts. Sometimes my hearts they suddenly go a bit asymmetric sometimes. It depends what angle that I'm going at. And again, just drawing a shape, which is a bit more complicated than just a stone, a pebble. You've got to concentrate on getting those hearts in, and then trying to get the hearts in without crossing over onto another heart.
Yeah.
And think, can I get that in? Oh, I might not get that in. So I might just go in there. It depends how small you can get your hearts going. And it is a good idea to turn the paper around, because otherwise all your hearts are facing in the same direction. Because we tend to draw in the a heart always in the same direction. So
yeah. There is nothing better than a lovely love heart. Oh, when someone sends you a love heart,
yes.
a little bit of love. We like love hearts. I bet Chris
And then
Martin send me some love
when
hearts.
you feel you've got, well, you've got as many hearts in as possible, then you go in and then you can then, not all the hearts, but some of the hearts can be filled in. So you can fill them in with your biro. So now and again, maybe you just color in. And we're only using, say color in, we're only using a black biro at the moment, or a black pen to color in our hearts.
But of course, you could really, you know, you could bring lots of colours in, and that makes it even more meditative.
Yes, I mean, if you think there was those colouring books for adults, wasn't there? That all became,
Yes.
I think they've been out about a few years now. Well, you know, yes, you could buy yourself a colouring book and do them in. I always used to love getting one as a child. I used to love getting a colouring book and a nice big pack of brand new felt tips.
Yeah.
That was lovely. And I must admit, that would keep me quiet, like on, you know, the rest of Christmas Day or Boxing Day, and just be doing the colouring in. And then you'd find out, like, the aunt or an uncle say, "Oh, can I have a go? Can I have your colouring book?" And they would pick it up and start colouring in your colouring book. So I do think, even back then, I think everyone likes a little bit of colouring. But of course, if you do something like this, you don't even have to go and buy a colouring book. You can just create your own colouring just by giving yourself a few titles and some little pictures to fill in. How's your, oh yeah, I like yours, Rachel's looking good. That's looking nice. And
Yeah.
actually you've got quite a nice quirky heart shape going on there. I've got a bit of heart envy.
Hey, listen, that's
nice.
me all over. I've got a very quirky little heart. Very quirky little heart. Yeah.
Yeah. Lovely. And I think why it works is you don't colour in all the hearts. You just randomly select some hearts and just colour those, or just block those out in a block colour. And then it just works really, really quite well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you could, as well, with your hearts, Gary, you could start to introduce things like with mandalas, where you just do shading in the heart. So you can decide to do lines in the heart if you wanted.
Yes, you could. You could. I mean? Absolutely. Yeah. Yes. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Last one. What one do you want to pick next?
Oh, this is the last one. I could go on for hours with it.
No, but I will show you I will show you all the other examples, because I've got one what I've done earlier, like all good Blue Peter presenters.
Okay, let's do flowers. We're keeping the Chris Martin theme going, keeping the Chris Martin. He likes a flower. Now,
again, with flowers, you need to think, because we automatically think a flower is symmetrical, but it's not. A flower will be, or have odd number of petals. So this flower hasn't got 4 petals, it's got 5 petals. And that's quite difficult to do. So say we start again, like we did with the heart, we're going to start with maybe from the center. So you can always draw a little dot for the center. But the petals are going to be 1. But if I did them equally, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1 down here, 1 up there, where would I put my 5th one in? So you need to think as you're going along, can I still get my 5th petal in? Like that.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so just do one in the middle and just think about, I'll do another one. So I did a circle, and then I did 1 petal like that, which is just a sort of a rounded upturned triangle. And then I did 1 next to it, and then next to it. But I've done 3. I've still got another 2 to get in. So I can't go too big. So my petals look like that. So I've still got the 5 petals. So every time you draw a flower, and again, like the hearts, all the flowers have got to be contained within the circle, and they can't be too big. Some of them can be large, but some of them are going to get really, really tiny. But all the time, you're not allowed to cross over. You're not allowed to go outside the circle. So again, you're concentrating, you're counting, you're thinking, how can I get 5 petals in and still stay in the circle, still not cross over? Are all my petals equally shaped, or are they different?
And once again, what this is just making you do is just stop. It's just making you be calm, get your brain off something else. I mean, we've talked before about anxiety. You know, we're not doctors. We're not medical at all. You know, we're not recommending anything. But what we have talked about is, obviously, when the body gets anxious, part of it can be the brain. just overworking itself. And I have done some hypnotherapy, and my hypnotherapist used to say to me, what you have to do is distract the brain from its line that it's going down. So this kind of thing is brilliant, because if you are having a moment of anxiety, distract it by doing something. And I would try and read a book or look at TV, but then I'd find I'd start getting involved in things, and then my mind would be racing. And I think this is perfect because there are no characters to look at here. There's nothing to get involved with. You're just literally calming the brain down by focusing on a very simple thing, drawing some lines and counting.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the other thing is, which I did tell you not to do, is you mustn't start comparing yours to somebody else's. So that's why doodling, you don't always doodle with somebody else doing the same doodle as you. You doodle, it's quite a sort of a solitary thing, doodling, but it is something that, don't compare all that doodle's rubbish or anything like that. And I just think that is, something that we have to almost like correct ourselves is not compare. We're just quite happy just to draw our little doodles with our little prompts. That's why I gave you these titles, because it's just something to get started. If I just said, right, come on everybody, let's just do some doodles, get on with it.
Exactly, yes.
Well, where do I start? And as we started with this, I think we've got out of the habit of doing the doodles. So and these are a bit further more than just your arrows, just the little boxes and squares. These are a little bit more than that. So yeah, your flower's looking very good. You're getting quite a few in. Are you managing to get 5 petals?
Yeah, I've done one with 6. I've done one with 6, but the others are all 5. Yeah.
But you do have to think to get the 5 petals, because it's so easy to do equal amount, like those numbers 4, 6, 8, those sort of numbers to get petals. You think, because your brain wants to equally cut it up like a slice of cake, or evenly. Where this with 5, it's not even. It's off.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay, right. So that's 3 examples. Shall I show you what I did for the others? Would you like to see? Okay.
I would love to see the other one.
Right, so just by magic, I bring that over.
Those are lovely. Let me just remove this spotlight. So we've just got yours now.
Okay.
Big styly. Okay.
All right, so you can see I wrote here, no arrows, exclamation mark. I'm not allowed to put arrows in, no arrows in anything. Okay, so a scribble, if you want to do just a scribble, it's literally just not a tight scribble, just a very loose scribble that is within the circle. And then with each of the zones within that scribble, you can do some sort of pattern. So you could do wibbly lines, you could do straight lines, you could do dots, little crosses, you could color one in. So that becomes just a pattern of design, a pattern of in the circle within the scribble. All right, we've done the flowers. Spirals over here again, so it's just a very simple spiral shape, just doing spirals. I started off with big ones, and then I had to do small spirals to fill in the space. So again, it's the same as doing the flowers, same as doing the hearts. It's about trying to trap as many spirals until you get really, really tiny within the drawing. So like that. So that's quite a good fun thing to do as well. So leaves, so lots of leaves. How many leaves and shapes of leaves can you do? Do you always do one type of leaf? Maybe you can draw another type of leaf. You can have 2 different types of leaves within there, but all the leaves again have to get within the circle. So if you like leaves and you can draw a good leaf, then draw a leaf. Squares and checks, again, how many squares can you get without crossing over? And not, remember, if you go right up to the edge of the circle, one side of that square is going to not be straight. So you're going to have to put a straight line. So, and again, you just keep building up loads of little boxes within the boxes. And then you can then just start coloring some of those boxes in. So again, once you've got as many boxes in the square as you want, you can then just block them out if you want to, and just do that. And then you can go, like we said before, you could go in with more pattern, like over in the fill in the spiral. Just circles and dots, it's really easy. So again, like the pebbles, but you just do loads of circles. Try and be as good as circles. So you're concentrating on drawing a really round circle, which only the edges of the circle can touch the other one. And then you're going to put another tiny dot or another tiny circle within each one. So you can have more than one, but does it go right in the center, or can it just go off center? Because when it goes off center, it looks a little bit more quirky. It gives it a little bit of character. So you can draw a circle, and then you can do maybe one little circle off, or you could do two little circles in it. It's almost becoming, the temptation is to make them into little faces, but not, just leave them. All you're allowed to do is circles and dots. And then finally, lines. So we've got lines here. So look at the patterns you can draw by just dissecting, first of all, through that circle. And then you can fill in each of the dissections with only line. But you can have lines that are close together. You can have long lines. You can have lines which are going at an angle. And then you can cross-section with another angle in the other direction. So again, I think what I've done is I've created a list of doodle patterns that would suit anyone that you could just go to. So you could try them all, try all 9. You might know some other things. And once you start seeing all the titles, you might start thinking, I could use feathers. Instead of leaves, I could draw feathers and put feathers in there. Or there might be a sort of like a little faces. You could have a little series of little faces within the circle as well. You could do loads of things, but this is just to get people doodling again. Just a little bit of mark making on a piece of paper, really easy to do.
Yeah, and I think as you were saying there, Gary, I've literally just had a very quick go. I'll just show you 2 that I just did there, so you can see my lines and my circles. So I really enjoyed that lines. That was brilliant. I just literally, went with a pen, didn't use a ruler, obviously, and just went with it. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just went with it. And then the circles. So I just had a go. So yes, let me just go back into my gallery and bring you and I up. So we'll just remove that spotlight and we'll remove that spotlight. There we go. So yeah, I think what's interesting with that, Gary, as well, is you always do this to me. A bit like Chris Martin. No, Chris Martin does something a little bit different to me, especially when standing playing his guitar on his own in his jogging pants. No, so the thing is, Gary, you always do this in that you come up with an exercise, and I think I know what it's going to be, and I have a set idea, and I think, okay, well, I kind of know my way around that. So, I'm not going to learn very much, but hopefully people on YouTube will learn a lot. Sorry, there's some teenage girls outside. What can I say? So screaming at each other. Why do teenage girls do that all the time? I don't know. But the thing is, I always find, Gary, I always learn something. And when you said we're going to be doodling, in my head, I had it that it was going to be like the telephone pad, and we're just going to sit there and do some doodling and chat. I didn't realize you were going to do, titles, which make you think and also focus the brain, but in a really good way, in a really good meditative way. It gives you a task, but it's not crazy hard. In a way, if anybody is watching this live, I know we've got some live people watching now, and if you come back to it afterwards, Gary has done lots of art classes and is doing some art classes with us live in the autumn on our website, CraftyMonkies.com. And if you want to join any of those live classes, just have a look on the website. I'll put the links below and you could join them. But after they have gone out, if you're watching this, for example, in 2023, you will be able to see those classes in our shop online at CraftyMonkies.com. And you can buy them individually. They're probably priced at about £15, the recorded version, maybe a little bit less. And you could just buy the class and then do this sort of thing, and it'll be an hour and a half of this kind of thing. So, and this is what you want to get across with people in your art classes, isn't it, Gary?
I want it to be accessible.
Yes.
I like art that's accessible for everybody, because, I just think it's, I think everyone has the ability to be creative. It's a willingness. So if you're not willing to be creative, you're not going to be creative. But if you think, I'd really like to be creative, how do I start? Little exercises like this and the art group, the art sessions that I do. So we call it art sessions, but they're all it's mixed media. It's all sorts of fun, creative stuff. And you'll be surprised your outcomes, what will happen, things you've never thought of doing or putting together, or how that works. So I was inspired when I was a young man, a young teenager. by a great guy called Tony Hart, and he used to do Take Heart.
I love Tony Hart. Oh, I love him.
Was amazing, and I used to sit there and watch his art program. It was art programs for young people, and I just used to be inspired by, and he made art and art design, creativity. He made it accessible to everyone, so to show you little tricks how to do things, and then it all sort of like it would click in your head, and then I'm going to go and do that. So you're not necessarily born creative, it's there in everybody, you just got to let it come out.
Exactly. And what I used to love about him as well is because he'd do the gallery, wouldn't he?
Yes.
The music was ding, 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 ding.
It was the Deer Hunter. The music to the gallery was the Deer Hunter.
Yeah.
And then everyone would have sent their work in, and there was all sorts of work from very little people who would send their paintings in to, you know, older teenagers. And I just thought it was just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
And as you say, he would just be so encouraging for anybody who had done that. I read a fascinating article about him actually in the Sunday Times quite some time ago. And yeah, it was really interesting. He really was a giver, because, you know, first when I was reading the article, I thought, oh no, please don't let there be a scandal, because if you think about those times, there were so many scandals. And no, he was just a great guy who just loved what he did, wanted to spread that message of joy, you know, get that creativity out there, get people to, you know, to believe they were creative. And this is what I said. I sent out a newsletter today, and I did a video about your classes coming up, Gary. And in that video, I said, what's lovely about your classes is the response from people who often sit there, are ladies who sit there and say, can I just say that at school, I was rubbish at art and it put me off. And now I feel like an artist. And, you know, I think that is really fantastic. So,
but I just say sometimes schools and teachers have got a lot to answer for either, you know, on a positive note, I had amazing teachers that really encouraged me to be as creative as possible in all directions. But other teachers, you know, other areas and experiences from other people, it was those their art lessons that almost like stopped them dead in their tracks from being creative. And I think because art used to be very formulaic, it used to be about perspective all the time, and you had to draw to make it look realistic. As someone said to me today in my studio, we don't have to draw realistic anymore. We've got amazing cameras in our phones, and we can play with that image. That's the creative bit. We can take that photo and then we can manipulate that image and play with it, add filters to it and stuff. That's the creativity. And so that we don't have to create things that look like a photograph. We've got cameras. We have to just express things on all sorts of media. You know, that's what art's about now.
Yeah. Yeah, because I've said that to you about my, you know, on the old Instagram, like on my personal as well as my, you know, creative. But I've really learned how to edit, you know, films and things. And I really enjoy that as a creative thing, you know, making all these reels and, you know, trying to learn the editing skills and things like that. And I find that is really creative, as you say, you know, manipulating images. So wherever you can find your outlet, going right back to the beginning, I love it how we tie these things up. It is your soul's journey. And I do think that things like this feed the soul, and we all need it, because my goodness me, with what's going on in the world at the moment, there's a lot of stress, a lot of tough times, and it's really important to just give yourself some time to de-stress, feed the soul, feed your passions. If you don't know what your passions are, do things and you might learn that is your passion, you know. So it's about just keep interest. It's about being interested in life and learning.
Exactly.
Ta-da! That is the lesson for the day. Love it. I love our little Friday afternoon get-togethers. So you know what the question is going to be now, Gary. What are we doing next Friday?
Right. So
no, we won't be live.
No, we won't, because you're going to be on your retreat. I'm
going to be on the sewing retreat that I've got going on with a load of excitable ladies. You should see the WhatsApp group. It's buzz, 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 buzz. So that is happening next Friday, but we will be recording something to go up on Friday. So the next content will be loaded on Friday, the 2nd of September, but it will be recorded. You can still watch it and enjoy it. What will it be, Gary?
Right, well, so as you know, and maybe not all the viewers or even people that follow Crafty Monkeys, but there's quite a few things that I've created for Crafty Monkeys, which is to do about stretch. Now, when I say stretch, we're talking about jersey stretch fabrics.
Oh, okay.
And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you to start. We're going to talk about a few hints and tips with stretch fabric, because I think everyone out there, especially those that want to sew, who like sewing, or even people that wear stretch garments, might think, well, how's this all come together? How do we make it? So I'd like you to have a little go with some stretch fabric. So I'm going to send you a little sample, and you're going to get that sewing machine out again. And I'm going to show you how you can use just your domestic sewing machine. This is nothing, nothing special equipment. I don't want you on the serger. There's no serger overlocker involved. That you don't even need that. You don't need a cover seamer. You don't need anything apart from your domestic sewing machine to learn how to sew stretch. So we're just going to get you to sew a few things. They're not going to be anything different. You're not going to construct the garment. Yeah. I'm just going to show you how that you can create stretch garments and work with stretch just from home with a simple sewing machine. You don't need any special equipment. And we're going to, within the session, I'm going to give you a few things and hints and tips about stretch. And it does tie in with the projects that I'm doing for Crafty Monkeys. So if you feel like, oh my God, I've really enjoyed this, or the whole mystery is like been demystified, then have a look at some of the other things that I've done, some patterns and stuff that I'm creating for you to do. And then maybe you might feel a bit more confident in coming along and coming to one of my sewing classes, making garments.
Yes. Yes, because we are going to be doing a jersey top, aren't we, in October?
So for your VIP, you've got your design with jersey. So in that VIP, which is this coming month, September's, that's already been uploaded and ready. That's uploaded and ready to go. And then I've just sent you all the info ready to go up online, which is going to be a jersey skater. It's almost like a skater dress tunic. So it's not a dress, but it, as someone said today, they saw it today, said, oh, I want a longer version. It could be a lovely dress. And I go, well, yes, it can. And within the session, I'll show you how you can make alterations. But it's an easy to wear top tunic that I sort of like thought about everyone, from young, small, large, small, tiny, thin. It would suit everybody, because you can make design changes or style changes to this pattern. And I'm determined that you can make it in 3 hours. 3 hours, and I can get you to make it. I'm sure I can.
Fabulous. Well, that will be a class listed on our website by the end of this weekend. So if you're watching this around the 1st of September, it should be listed on the website. And if you're watching it, of course, later, have a look in our online shop, because that class will be an on-demand recording. And there is a filter, and you can filter Gary Mills. And when you filter Gary Mills, you will see all of Gary's recorded classes, and also patterns that he's given us, and mini videos and things like that. And if anybody wants to meet you, Gary, you will be on the retreat with us happening in 2023 in Leeds. Details of that coming on the website very soon as well. Very excited. Right, lovely, Gary. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure. And thank you to our lovely YouTubers who've been watching us. We haven't had comments. I think you have to have a Gmail account to make comments, which is a bit of a pain. I don't know why. Maybe that's wrong. I'm sure that's what I heard. But we have had people watching the whole way through. The people watching the whole way through, the beginning to the end. They've done the mindfulness, they've done the doodling. If you'd like to tag us in on anything you've done, by the way, just go to Instagram or Facebook and tag @CraftyMonkies, also @Gary Mills Designs. And Gary Mills has got his own YouTube. All the details will be in the box underneath. And so you can follow Gary on Instagram and Facebook and on YouTube, as well as us. We would love to hear from you, see you, meet you, greet you, welcome you into the Crafty Monkey family. Right, lovely Gary. Until the next time, I shall now end our day. Have a lovely time, everybody.
Bye, everyone.